You always cry when it rains, but I'm starting to think it's just your way of hiding. That was the first thing he said after I told him I was dying. The hospital lights made everything look faker than it already was. Sterile, cold, like the truth I'd just been handed. Stage 3. Aggressive. Maybe 6 months if I was lucky. But none of that felt as brutal as the silence from the man I had loved for 3 years. Say something, I said, still gripping the lab results like they could dissolve and take the cancer with them. Adrian didn't move. He stared out the window of our small apartment like he was watching something more important than my life unraveling. And then he said it. Go die somewhere else, Ethan. No drama. No hesitation. Just a sentence that snapped the thread of everything we'd built. I'd met Adrian at a house party during junior year of college. He was the kind of person who didn't need to say much to be noticed leaning against a fridge, sipping a drink, smirking like he knew how the night would end for everyone. When I walked past him, his first words weren't flirtatious. You look like you're trying too hard to be invisible. I laughed awkwardly. Is it working? No, but it's cute. He was intoxicating, detached, clever, and somehow terrifyingly gentle when it mattered. For years, I believed he cared in his own complicated, broken way. Maybe I still wanted to believe that. The day after the diagnosis, I moved out. I didn't pack much. Just the hoodie he once said made me look unreasonably soft. And the mug he got me after our first trip together. I left my toothbrush and every unanswered question behind. I crashed on my friend Liv's couch. She tried not to cry when I told her. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered. I thought Adrian would be enough. She didn't say what I already knew, that love isn't medicine, and some people don't know how to show up when you're falling apart. The thing about dying is it makes you remember everything too vividly. The time we danced in the snow in our underwear. The fight we had over something as dumb as laundry. The look on his face the first time he said, I can't lose you, and how fast that turned into, I never asked you to stay. Even with the pain in my chest and the nausea that hit like waves every morning, it was the loss of him that burned worst. 2 months passed. I shaved my head before the chemo took my hair. I started therapy. Liv drove me to every appointment, made me laugh with TikToks, and never asked me how I was unless she was ready for the honest answer. Adrian never called. Until one day he did. The phone buzzed as I lay in bed, counting ceiling tiles like they were stars. I'm outside. I stared at the screen. He hadn't texted in 63 days. But now just I'm outside? Liv looked at me like she wanted to body slam him. You don't owe him anything. I nodded, then got up anyway. He stood by his car, arms folded. That same shirt, that same wall around him. I saw your new hair, he said. Yeah, bald is sexy now. He looked down. You look tired. You look like hell. He cracked a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Can we talk? I think we're already doing that. I mean inside, alone. I hesitated, then stepped aside. We didn't talk in the living room or the kitchen. We sat in Liv's backyard, on the old wooden steps, where the night air felt safer. Adrian didn't speak at first. I messed up, he finally whispered. Is that your version of I'm sorry? No, that comes later. I scoffed. That assumes I'll let you say it. I panicked, Ethan. The thought of you dying, I couldn't process it. I didn't know how to hold that. So you dropped it. Dropped me. He winced. Yes. Silence stretched between us. It wasn't peaceful. It was jagged like glass between ribs. I thought I meant more to you, I said. You did. You do. Funny way of showing it. He nodded, eyes on his knees. When I was 13, my mom died. Cancer. My dad never recovered. He shut down. So did I. I promised myself I'd never go through that again. Never love someone I could lose that way. I blinked. That was the most raw thing he'd ever told me. I should have told you, he continued. But I thought if I pushed you away, I could beat the grief before it started. I didn't expect it to feel worse. I looked at him, really looked, for the first time in months. He wasn't composed. He wasn't cruel. He was terrified. And maybe so was I. You don't get to disappear and come back like nothing happened. I said. I know. You don't get to break me and expect me to trust you again. I don't. But I'm here to try. He took something from his pocket. A folded note. The edges were frayed like he'd been holding onto it for a long time. It's everything I couldn't say back then. I didn't open it. Not yet. Recovery isn't linear. Forgiveness isn't instant. He came with me to one of my appointments. He brought soup when I couldn't keep food down. He sat on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. when I was sobbing because the pain was too much. And still sometimes I hated him. For leaving. For making me feel like I wasn't worth staying for. But then he'd whisper things like, I wish I had your courage. Or, I'd trade places with you if I could. And my anger cracked. One night, 2 months later, I woke up gasping. Fever. Infection. He was there in under 10 minutes, barefoot, wearing that same damn white shirt. When I opened my eyes in the hospital bed, he was holding my hand, whispering something over and over. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. The tumor shrank. Slowly. Painfully. But it did. And so did the distance between us. One morning, when the doctor said the phrase partial remission, Adrian started crying before I did. I told you I wasn't dying just to spite you. I joked. He laughed through tears. Of course you didn't. You're too stubborn. And you're too late. He went still. But, I said softly, I still want you here, even if it hurts sometimes. Spring came, then summer. I started walking again, eating better, writing again. He read every word, asked questions, held my hand at night like I might still vanish. And slowly, gently, I believed him again. We visited the old rooftop from our college days. The city looked smaller, the world wider. He leaned close, not for the kiss but to rest his forehead against mine. I love you, he said, quiet and true. I closed my eyes. Then stay, even if it gets bad again. Especially if it gets bad again. Sometimes love doesn't show up the way we hope. But when it does return scarred, humbled, human, it can be more real than ever. And sometimes that's enough to keep living for. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.